Hi, my name is Bokang Phelane, and you're listening to Hater FM.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchtime Express with Enrico Alfonso. Joining me today is the amazing Bokang from her new show that's coming out soon, Blood Songs on Showmax. It's an African folklore-based series that I'm so excited for everyone to check out. But I'm gonna hand you over to her. Hello, Bokang.
Hi, Enrico. How are you?
I am awesome. I'm awesome. Can you tell everybody at home right now what exactly is Blood Psalms in your own words and what the show is about?
Would love to. Blossoms followed the story of a teenage princess coming of age and discovering who she is, learning her identity, and also learning that she is the end of a doom for her nation. And she finds herself in a place where she has to choose her own identity. Is she her nation's salvation, or is she the end of it all?
Ooh, I have goosebumps right now when you said the whole Doom thing. I was like, how does that fit in? Wow, I am so excited for this. Really, I'm so excited.
Well, we're here to chat about it. So let's,
Yes,
I'm so
exactly.
excited to share.
Oh, lovely. So can you tell us about your character and how she actually fits into the story? Like
Mm.
okay, so her name is Zazi, right? And she's like this fierce
Yes.
princess. So yeah,
Yes.
take it over you.
So her name is Zazi, which is an Nguni word for to know thyself.
Mm,
So how she fits into this world is the world of Blood Psalms is huge. It's built of four nations that happened before the pre-deluge time, around about Kemet time, and it's the four nations that believe themselves to be the descendants of the gods of Kemet. But as time has gone and powers have shifted, each one of them has dropped down the scale of the worthiness to their former selves, and they find themselves now basically being led by this kingdom called the Akachi kingdom, which has been able to use its powers and will to wield power and resources to themselves. And so Princess Zazi is born into this kingdom as the heir to a king who's really paralyzed under the shadow of what he has to step into, and believes that he does not have the ability to, but is also afraid to allow his daughter to step into the place where he cannot.
uh,
Hello, everyone. My name is Bokang Phelane, and you're on Glitched. Yes, so Princess Zazi finds herself at a place where her father is grappling with the magnitude of his role and his unworthiness towards that role. And the
mm,
prophecies fell a long time ago that a descendant of Akachi will fall who will rescue everyone. But the greatness he feels within himself cannot allow that his daughter is, and not himself, is the salvation of his
oof,
nation.
oof.
Exactly. And so because Princess Zazi possesses so much greatness that people aren't ready to accept, she has been seen as doom, and she finds herself in this great world which is about to collapse, which needs a savior. And everybody has told her who she is, but now she has to decide if she's going to be the doom or the savior of
Wow.
the nation, which
I
I
love
feel
how
like
connected you are to this character. It's like you have the whole character sheet for what she is in like her
I mean,
entirety.
I have known her since 2018 when
Wow.
because how I my connection with Zazi goes way back, because I came into the project when it wasn't even Blood Psalms yet. It was still another Showmax
Untitled.
production with another title, and things happen, the story develops, and um yeah, I got involved in the actual like constructing of the character, the constructing of the stories,
Wow,
the different
that's
worlds, even before I got to learn that I was Princess Zazi. So by the time, I mean, in 2019, when they told me that I am Princess Zazi, I was already so fully immersed in all of characters
We're
in
like,
the
let's go.
entire world.
I'm ready out the door.
In the pre-production, so I was already so familiar with the world, with the princess, that I
Mm,
have a very personal affinity to this character. I won't lie
mm,
to you.
mm.
Yeah.
I
And then
love
also
that
I really
connection.
feel like, oh, thank you. I feel like also, as we find ourselves as, African youth in this time. And, me and you, we know what the sort of on the surface struggle of our parents and that generation was. We know it, we can see it. It was it was racial, whatever it was. And for us, we're trying to kind of grappling with the fact that sort of middle class is the same, the opportunities are kind of sort of the same. So what is our struggle? What is the thing we have to defeat? We have to identify it, find it, and then determine ourselves to be that those can defeat it and be it. We can't just consume what the other generation said we were. And I felt like that's exactly the same. That's what Princess Zazi is going through. You can't just consume what they say. You have to find yourself.
We're gonna find new and really amazing ways to get around this and to work it better, and
100.
I love that. Thank you for saying that. And is that what okay, let's go back to the character. Yes, and as you were talking, I was listening, and the story itself has so many mythologies in this. There's Egyptian that connects to African. There's Atlantis that fits into that too. There's these 4 houses, and it's like we have such rich mythology that's now being explored. I mean, this story sounds like something out of a novel that I would read. Where there's world building and you have like these characters that are ancient.
Yeah.
So I love that element of it. So, shout out to the creator, shout out to the whole creative team that brought this.
Man, shout out to Jamil. Shout out to that crazy filmmaker. He's crazy, but he's good.
Yes. So, was there like a moment when you stopped and you were like, I am so proud of this. I'm so proud that I get to be in this?
To be honest with you, even now, I think the appreciation is more because I also feel like on a global scale, everybody is getting to a point where they're telling the stories of their origin. Just yesterday, I was watching a Disney trailer, and it was a trailer about this like really Indian mythology, sort of like it's a different perspective of how I've seen them make their own stories, and then looking at America also, how they're fetching their, stories from the mythology of their original self. So I feel like on an international grand scale, like we're so ready to tell our origin stories.
Yes.
And I feel like even Africa is stepping in at the perfect moment for that to happen. And then there's a sense of globalness, because if you look at Greek mythology and Egyptian mythology and African mythology, and I only don't mention other mythologies because I'm not that versed in them, it's the same kind of similar stories, So I feel like as creatives in this point in time, we find ourselves answering the call to who are we originally, initially? Where do we come from? We've changed a lot, we adapted, we mixed a lot, but something within us keeps calling back to us, And throughout the process of Jamil involving Egyptian mythology and all of this, what he actually did is he set us off on a surgeon to find the connection between our own tribal mythology with ancient mythology.
Yes.
And it was such a deep dive, and it was so healthy because I personally learned that, like, I'm Sotho from Lesotho. And, most of the time, Southern African tribal mythology only dates back to just before colonialism. I mean, not even just like African, Southern African.
Or just what we know. Like just what we know. Yeah. And I don't think that connection to the Egyptian side is not something that a lot of people know. It's like
not at all
foreign to them. It's like, no, we know Egyptians, but it's like the white people that were played in the movies. That's how we know.
Which is not, it's more people who look more like you and me, to be honest with you. That's the spectrum of, Yeah, but I also think that, like, there used to be a time when I was upset about that, but I think that any time before that, even our own consciousness as creatives of color talking, we were not ready to accept our greatness.
Exactly.
But now we are, because we see ourselves, and this is a deep time for every one of us to be sent on a personal mission to be like, actually, wait, who were you before your great ancestors stepped from their land to go to another place? Who were you? Who did you call on? Who did you look to the sky? Who did you look to beneath, And even though we go to a different place to find ourselves, the beauty of it is it brings us all to the same place, that, the origins of human nature are in the eternal soul. Like, we all know that we all carry so much of life experience, and we're still extending it forward. And filmmaking, and even this conversations, is one of those words that we lighten the very heavy conversation of humanity. Who are we? What is this air we're speaking?
That is what is this? Yeah, that is heavy. Yeah, Bokang, you're like making me think deeply. Yeah. But at the same time, these are like TikTok videos, man. You're like making TikTok trend videos right now, talking about how we weren't ready. The world was not ready to have these kinds of castings and these kinds of stories. And I even
Mm,
posted it today. I was like, I don't think we realize the significance. We've had Greek stories, so many
mm,
Christianity
mm.
stories, Roman stories, and now finally we get to explore African mythologies. And there's so much
Oh,
story there. There's so much heart. And it's just for the filmmakers now to bring it to life, to bring it to an
mm.
original story. Okay, so
Yes.
what was it like actually working on a Showmax production compared to your other productions on this kind of scale with this kind of production team?
Well, I feel like this question is aimed at making sure that I don't get much work because I cannot compare them.
Okay, not compare, just how was the experience?
Just joking. Excuse me. Um, for this
Politician
particular
answer
production,
here, man.
pardon?
It was a politician answer here. I'm gonna get a politician's answer.
It is a politician's answer. But what I will say with that question is, I feel like I've been very blessed because I feel like from day one of the beginning of like the first opportunity I got to, act in this industry, I've always been surrounded by like such a high caliber of artist, a high cut in terms of in front of the camera and world class behind the camera, and just also whatever the channel is trying to do is always the ambitious projects that I always kind of sort of find myself in.
Mm,
So for me, always, honestly, I always feel so honored, But one thing that I won't try to pretend I've never felt intimidated. I won't lie. I've always felt more so compelled to bring out the very best of me, because I just feel like at this point in time, the universe has orchestrated such a good moment that the only thing that I can do is show up as my best self.
mm.
And I've had such a great opportunity to learn from the greats, because one thing that I'm always shocked about from these actors that I've worked with who've been in the industry more than 10 years, about 20 years going further, is how much an actor prepares. In acting class, we say that an actor prepares. But no, when
No,
you get on
no,
set,
trust me. I felt it when I asked you about the character. Most people give a one log line, but you
mm,
were like, you went into the soul of the character. And that is so rare. So trust me, I can hear it when you say an actor prepares.
oh, thank you. It's also because, like, how can I step onto a set with Sililo Makekangube not being anything but my
The
absolute best?
cast list on this is insanity. I just have to tell
It's
everybody. Okay,
insane.
I am looking at, and they also have in the press release that they gave us, they also have in brackets what they've been on, like some of the major and you're reading this thing and you're
Right?
like, how are all of them in one show? This is a show, right? It's not like a 10-part movie or
No,
something. It's like a show.
I mean, it is an 11-part series, so 1 hour each. So it's
Oh
pretty
my gosh.
intense
We are going
over
to
it's,
be so
it's
fed. We are going to be so fed with this one.
we're gonna binge. But what that has always taught me as an artist is that, like, as an artist and as a creative, also as a person who's also running your own business, you know what the feeling is. You come in and you have a bunch of ambition, and then you go through where the ambition takes you through a school of, I don't want to say purifying because I don't want it to sound Puritan or sort of like
Aristocratic.
aristocratic, but I say purification because I feel like all you have when you step into a world is your ambitions, and then the journey that your ambitions takes you into literally grows you, purifies you, cleanses you, removes the things that you don't need, and makes you focus on the things that you need. And
Mm.
so I just feel like with Blood Sums, the scale of the opportunity that it is, it's always just told me that, like, this is the time for you to see the part that saw you to become this and appear as more than that. Because I think a lot of us think that once the moment is there, you can just appear as yourself and get the highest of your ambition. But what we don't know is you have to appear
You
as
have
the
to
future
show
version of yourself all the time, right?
up. Yes.
But I'm glad
I
that
love the
we are.
perspective change though. I think a lot of us do what you're saying and we get intimidated by the moment or we let that doubt creep in. But it's such a lovely perspective change to just change it around and say, no, the universe actually aligned for me to be at this spot right now. So there's no doubt, there's no drama. You just have to live the moment. So thank you again for saying that. You're like giving golden nuggets here. I had my last question as give a golden nugget, but like every question you're giving golden nuggets here. So what do I ask at the end? You know, like ending my interview here for me.
I will say I prepared myself for a platform of the millions of views. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna say?
Oh my
So,
God.
I always
Uh,
like to meet people at their greatness.
oh man, but it was so lovely meeting you that night, and thank you for actually, being like, "Hey, I'm Bokang," and I was like, "Oh, you saw my surprise!" I was like, "Holy crap, it's you!" That was
Oh, I mean, like, you know what? Because I feel like what we've done with Blood Sums, speaking from an actor and kind of partly representing the channel and the creatives, is that we really took such a risk because we made something so genre and community specific. We made it for the people that love to dive into fantasy and mythology stories.
yes, that's
We made
me.
it for the
That's
people
what I've
who are
been
dressed up
waiting
for
for.
Comic-Con.
Yes. You see,
So
like,
I knew that I needed to
and then
connect.
next year you need to have a panel at Comic-Con, where you're sitting on
Yeah.
the panel and we're talking about how there's a
Mm.
supernatural series, but with African mythology. I've been waiting for this. You don't understand how long. We've had so many
Yeah.
Marvel, DC, all these different kinds of things, but we've never had
Right.
the chance to geek out about like our country stuff, because it hasn't been
100%.
international quality. So like it gets lost
Mm.
in the fodder, it gets lost in certain people
Mm.
like cult following. But now it's like international scale. Everybody's gonna see it. So
Yeah.
touching on that, what do you think is going to surprise people about this show?
I think production value. I won't lie to you. Because,
Hey,
everybody's
there's
talking
one
about how
lady with
that's
her hair on flames. I was like, is that like that looks like better than most CGI I've seen on the big shows, man.
which is what I'm so excited about because Jamil was so kind of like interested in the idea of making this a story for Africans, but also making this a story for people of color because, the journey, of our consciousness and our perspective.
Mm.
And then, as Yellowbone, they jumped into the opportunity to collaborate because a majority of their CG they did in India. So they jumped at the opportunity to like go and collaborate with other filmmakers from around the world of color who are like, we're finally being like, hey, I see you, you see me, yeah, me.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Did
I
you
really
work
also appreciate
did you work with CGI or the green screen and some stunt work in Blood Psalms?
stunt work and a bit of blue screen. Yes,
So how
stunt
was that?
work
What was
was
that experience? Was that like your first, or have you done like stunt work or
was
kind of blue
definitely
screen?
my no. Well, stunt work. The thing is, as an actor myself personally, I do different forms of martial arts because I never want the moment to be there, and I don't have
Damn.
a standard routine. So I had always kind of been gotten into the rhythm
There goes
of
my
martial.
question for are you similar to your character? Now we already know you're a badass, man. You can kick anybody's ass.
No, but I have an answer still for that one. Please keep it. But sorry, can you just go back to the question quickly?
Yes, okay. So what do you think is going to surprise people about the show? Oh, and
Oh
sorry, the
yes,
question that led
100%.
into that was, what was it like to work with CGI and stunt work?
So to work with CGI, I mean, it's like just a higher notch of suspended disbelief because we rely on you guys relying on the whole production value to believe that we are actually there and whatever. So I feel like the first step for that was me believing that this green screen is a red moon and it's possessing me. So that was also fun to test my actor skills in terms of suspended disbelief to that much. But it was great. And then in terms of stunts, um, you know, I'm glad that like this project I got to do with Yellowbone because right from the beginning they facilitated training facilities very early on. They connect. Well, I found my own personal trainer says slash martial artist. She's a jiu-jitsu world champion, and yeah.
Okay.
I found her doing another project what was she doing again? I think she was doing Queen Sono at the time. And I was just like, girl, you need to be my stuntie.
Oh,
So I emailed her. I was like, you need to train me. You need to be my stuntie. And then I segued the production company and her. And they were like, we absolutely love what she's doing. We will do whatever it takes.
damn,
So
Queen
really, the
Sono
company did
tie-in.
whatever
I'm
it
loving
takes.
this. Ooh,
Right?
yes.
So, you know, Leila and Jenny were like, whatever it takes to get you to be that, the image of the princess that we're looking for will facilitate. They provided all the way to the diet budget for that, all the way to the personal training sessions twice a day, just to make sure that I look like what Jamil had imagined for Princess Zazi. He straight up showed me a picture of Red Sonia. I don't know if you know Red Sonia.
Yes. Red Sonia, what?
You know Red Sonia with the red hair and like the green outfit, and she's looking dex with the guns and everything and the six pack.
Yeah.
And they jokingly said to me, the warrior princess we're creating is as strong as the essence of Red Sonia. And they jokingly said, don't come to set unless you have a six pack. And I was so appreciated that they could say that and provide the resources for me to look like a superhero, because I was ready to embody this vision of a female superhero that was seen. So the preparation process was so smooth and was so accommodating and was so facilitating for the project to be all it can ever be. And really, honestly, kudos to Canal Plus, kudos to Showmax, kudos to Yellowbone for taking such a huge undertaking and believing in the continent's ability to create such a precious, project.
I have actual chills because of the potential that I can hear here, especially with what you said went into the background of this and how much faith they put into these preparation things is just so epic. It's just
Thank you. Wait, I want to tell you.
Okay.
What I feel like people will be surprised at, because we always talk about this as a great African endeavor, it's beyond that. It's really, 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 if you are into the genre, you're going to enjoy it. Because the mythology and the backstory already heavily exists, and it is already set up in the world where, if you're into fantasy and mythology, you understand Egyptian mythology, you understand African mythology, you will get to understand a little Greek mythology, and then I think people are going to be shocked at the level of the VFX, the depthiness of which we let fantasy run away, the production value, the explosions, the dragons, the moons,
the dragons,
powers.
Okay.
So I think more than anything, people can go into this as an African endeavor, but know that you're going to get your mind blown in terms of entertainment value.
Okay. Whoa. Now there's dragon. I'm posting that picture with the chick's hair is green and fire. That needs to be seen.
Yeah. Okay. And that's not just any chick. That is a national treasure. That is Tando Tebeto, a radio queen, a TV queen, So that's
I feel like I should have posted that today, man. I should have posted that today. I think she retweeted one of my tweets, so I should have just hopped on that and posted.
I mean, you're also just doing the most with your platforms. So I mean, we see you, we acknowledge you, we adore what you're doing.
Oh man. Stop it. Now you're making my ears red. It's about you. Without giving away anything, what's your favorite scene?
You see, if you didn't start by saying without giving away anything, that would be a really easy scene. Oh, geez, I'm trying to think about. Okay, so I am looking forward to the audience meeting Princess Zazi for the first time. The first scene that you will encounter in. You can decide whether you keep this or not, but it's let me not say this actually. But when you first encounter Princess Zazi, you will get to meet her in her world, which is her castle, her place of privilege, but you will also get to experience how that privilege is a prison. So I'm looking forward to the idea of meeting the princess and also meeting the consciousness that we're all different, but we're all the same. And our prisons look different, our heavens look different, but we all experience a prison and a heaven similarly. Where we come together is, how do we share the process of us overcoming and transcending and growing into the next place where the situation calls us to be,
I love how you just echo the words that are in my soul, man, that have been for so long. I keep saying we need to stop this thing of like categorizing everybody. Everybody is equal at the end of the day. Nobody is
Yep.
any different. We're all the same species. That's never going to change. Nobody's going to become a different species yet. Okay?
No.
So
Mm.
we're all one species at the end of the day, and we need to start treating each other like that. No
And the sooner we
color,
come to
that
that
category.
realization, the sooner we come to realize that, the sooner we get over the immediate things that we see. Those are just the entry
I
point.
don't know
But
what
what's,
happened to Rainbow Nation, but that was such a beautiful, iconic vision. And it's just like fell through the cracks. Nobody even talks about it anymore.
I think that what happened is we said the words Rainbow Nation before we know what it meant. And that's not a sin. That's exactly the nature of, like, I don't know, human experience or human growth. Is like it exists in your mind first and you fall in love with it, right? And it's a fantasy and you speak it before it's there. And before you knew it, you've disappointed yourself because it's not there yet. But it's only because we are talking about it that it eventually exists. So
Yes.
I think that we went past the time when we were talking about it and it didn't exist, and we looked into each other's eyes and we didn't see it yet. Then because we didn't see it, we worked hard to make it happen. And now we're kind of there like, actually, this is what the Rainbow Nation meant. It meant the soul in me sees the soul in you, not whatever the fuck that was happening. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I said ass before. I said badass. So I'm sure it's okay.
Not whatever song it is we were singing before then, but now that we're actually here, me and you, talking about what it means to be in this continent at this time, in this exact, you know, social, political, economic circumstance, understanding what it means to be middle class, to be, you know, lower than middle class, higher than, understanding that on any dogma removed, but just being human to human, we finally understand what that is. And now it's our responsibility to push the Rainbow Nation's meaning further than just a bunch of colors combined, but
Yes.
now, you know, a cohesive wave of differences in humanity, but that all echo we are one. You know what I mean?
Dude, you are like next level
Oh,
thoughtfulness and just pure wisdom. Like, whoa. I don't
thank
even,
you.
I'm like speechless during this interview, man. Before I usually like question after question, I'm done, I'm good, I'm sharp. Now I'm like rethinking my whole entire existence right now.
An existential crisis right
Existential
now.
crisis, thank you, exactly. You're like giving me an existential crisis here right now. Yo, damn. And I think I need to like sit in that for a bit. Let this recording close and convert and save, and then we'll jump back on and finish the question. But you're like
100%.
too deep.
I'm here for it.
You're hitting me in the feels here.
I'm glad, because that's why we make art, Enrico. We make
Ah,
art, we create, we have these conversations because at the end of the day, everything is a symbol. What we're really going for is this human connection, man. The soul
mm,
connection
mm,
is what we're
mm.
all going for.
I'm making my ears red, bro. Too much, Bokang, too much. Okay, let this thing save. I'll see you now.
Alrighty. Hi everyone. My name is Bokang Phelane. I play.
Recording start. Thank you. You're making
Here we
noise
go.
with me. Okay. All right, that was the ad break. I guess we'll call that the ad break. Intermission. Right.
Another
So,
ad break, guys.
yes. So, Bokang, when you were younger, and did you hear any of these kinds of mythology stories that when you were doing the show, you connected to and you were like, wow, I heard that. And this was when I was actually growing up.
Definitely, most certainly. Um, you know, when obviously when Blood Sam started and Damien introduces to the mythology, he introduces to Greek mythology and all the different gods and all that stuff. But what he was really passionate about is for us to try to personalize the story as possible. And so he was open to the idea of us all diving into our personal mythologies of our tribes to connect to this. And then what I found is in Sutu mythology, we have a creature which is basically sort of like a crocodile creature. Its name is Hodumodumo, and it's known to consume the shadow parts of the community, right? But then it always makes an exception and leaves one person out who's like an underdog, and we all don't understand why. But as the story progresses, that underdog rises into a hero who can defeat the shadow that attracted the creature to the shadowness of the community and rescue everyone. And what I found fascinating about that is this Hodimodomo creature was a half reptile, half man sort of creature, which is very similar to Sobek, the Egyptian half crocodile, half man creature. And the more I dived into the mythology of the Sotho culture, the more I realized actually ancient mythology of almost every type is very similar. We almost kind of have the same kind of creature all the time with the same kind of circumstances, trying to direct us to a similar kind of consciousness in sort of like how to see each other. So I think as the audience dives into the archetypes and the symbols, everyone will be able to check into their culture and be like, hold on, there was a folk tale told about this kind of creature. Is it similar? Is it not? So even if it's not exclusively in the world of Blood Psalms, but the themes for sure will be one to guide you to understand that, like, ultimately, even with folk tale, even with whatever, we've all as humanity been telling the same story of who we are or who we're trying to be or who we're trying to find ourselves to be.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? Like, we were back when there was no communication and there was people across the world, but somehow they invented mythology. Somehow we have these different stories and there is mythology from these different cultures. And it wasn't that culture evolved in a completely different way. We all have these similarities. So I find that so cool when there was no communication. So how did we evolve in that same, line?
Right.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that there's just another string of
oh my God. I'm repeating myself here. It's so weird. I don't know how you did it.
It's show business.
This is so awkward for me, dude. You have no idea. I'm like so confused right now.
And now you get to say it even better than what you wanted to say.
Wow.
But but I think what's really fascinating about what you're saying is it's the same archetypes, it's the same symbol, it's the same message. Surprisingly,
moral,
even though
of the
story. So many years, we are still telling pretty much the same story to each other. It hasn't changed. The appearance of it, the symbols of it, the archetypes of it have changed. But Enrico, we are still telling the same story, really, honestly. And isn't that fascinating? Doesn't that make us feel like even in a time where we are half bionic Android matter and internet through our minds, like I'm going to send you an email with my thoughts, but even after the email, there will be another subconscious level of code that's like, who are we? Who are we?
Oh, now you're talking like the Matrix subconscious line of code. Jeez. Okay, so what do you think the audience is going to come away with this, after they watch that first episode? Like, is there going to be like a black girl magic moment? Is there going to be like, Mom, that's me, or like, the Ariel moment, like, Mom, the princess is black, and Bokang is me, how wholesome would that feel?
You just really touched my heart. Like, I'm literally getting goosebumps on my face because all of the artists involved in Blood Psalms, we all had one vision in mind, right? We all want to tell a story that doesn't necessarily represent the past of ourselves as people of color, because I feel like too many people have gotten involved in telling that story for us. And it's already on the internet. We can't take it back, And when we think about ourselves in the present future, when I say present future, I mean how we can imagine ourselves based on what the information we have on ourselves. It also kind of seems like it exists in a limited spectrum of what we could be based on who we were. But when we sat down together and decided that, like, we're all going to surgeon together for Blood Psalms, we really set out to create an identity that a new version of Africans, of people of color, can see themselves in their glory. We wanted, somebody to say, we wanted very much, Princess Zazi is an 18-year-old girl for a reason, 18-year-old African girl for a reason, because we want every other 18-year-old girl who is in circumstances slightly different from privilege to understand that it's not a disadvantage as it is as much an opportunity for you to find yourself. And if somebody identified you the way that you didn't want, it means that you have been given the freedom to take on or define. Isn't that beautiful? You don't just have to consume it. You can take it on, right? And say, this is not me. And then redefine it. So we were so particular and so meticulous in creating an identity that a young man on the streets of everyday South Africa, a young man on the streets of everyday Alexandria in Egypt, a young man on the streets of everyday anywhere in the world can be like, this is my coming of age story. This is the part of my life. When I say, life, you've shown me all the possibilities, I would like to present you my thoughts of what the possibility can be, and watch life echo that back to you. Has that not been the story of what, we set out to tell?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely, wholeheartedly believe in that. And I think that is the perfect last question for Blood Psalms. What a beautiful ending to that. So I just have two last ones on your acting. So like acting relating questions, or like the creator space, like you're talking about, like, making content or making art, like you were saying, right? So the first one would be, as an actress, that rejection plays a big part in your career, right? So how do you deal with that? Like in a space where you have to audition all the time, where you're constantly getting rejected, how do you take that in and still be as beautiful as you just like eloquated yourself right now?
I think the rejection is what actually teaches you to find the parts of yourself to hang on to when all you hear is no. And I feel like probably as a person who is in the creative space and you have your own platform that you've been building, it takes 1,000 no's to get to one yes. You just know. Because most of the time when you step into the space in something creative, it exists in your mind in the version that it is, but it doesn't exist in other people's mind, and you have to help them see the vision. So for me, I just feel like as a creative, everything is a holy, like, I don't want to sound overly religious, but I'm so romantic about the opportunities that we are met with that say yes and no to us, because both of them are equally valuable. Because if you're paying enough attention, when the no comes and you allow yourself to feel it and sit down at the lowest level of pain that or uncomfortability that is situated with you, when you allow yourself to feel the uncomfortability and accept it, you get to a point where you don't care to feel any more of that uncomfortability because you felt it so much. And then you ask yourself, what can I do to meet this moment better? Because experience has taught you that these moments come around so often. It depends on whether or not you're ready for it, right?
Yes.
It depends on whether or not you're ready. Yeah. So I feel like sometimes we have to accept that negativity and the no's and the rejection are just as much a teacher as the yes. In fact, the negativity and the no and the rejection teaches you more than the yes, because the negativity teaches you how to rise up to the moment that you almost got to, because you can see it's right there. You're like, I almost got in. What didn't I have? After you're like, they rejected me, they don't want me, I'm not worthy, they have privilege, you say, how am I going to get in the next time? Because I know they want me close enough, but there's something about that moment, So I feel like once you realize that it's not as simple as yes and no, it's more complex, like, are you ready for this moment? Then you realize that the no's are so valuable to you being ready for the moment. Because one thing, the moment is going to come. No doubt. It's gonna come for you. Are you ready for it?
I feel like I'm ready now. You're like psyching me up.
Now!
Like I'm ready for it now.
Now.
Yes, now.
We're ready now.
We're ready now, yes. All right, last question.
But I also want to...
Like I said, you have pretty much given so many golden nuggets here. I don't even feel like we need another golden nugget. There's like so much to unpack with what you said. But just on the last part, it's like, if you could give one golden nugget of wisdom to the other aspiring creators and artists and actresses out there, what would that be? If it was just one golden nugget that you could boil it down to.
I don't want to sound cliche, and it only sounds cliche because so many people before us and with us and after us will tell us, you have to really believe in your own greatness firstly. No one else can hold the space to see your greatness. They can do for a little while, but it's going to cost you if they hold that space for you for too long. You have to believe in your own greatness so much. And then after you believe that you're great, you have to then propagate your mind to believe that every moment that comes is towards that greatness and not your demise. You have to be a master blessings counter, because greatness is happening all the time. It's just that sometimes the resistance to the method gets in your way. So you really have to believe in your vision, believe in yourself, and literally everything will circulate right back to meet the energy that you're meeting yourself with.
That is simple yet so powerful. And I know you say it's cliche, but I think it's more important of where it's coming from, and it's coming from you. So that
Thank you.
really rings true.
But
truly, just what a well-spoken, thoughtful person you are. Like, it's mindfulness. The mindfulness level that you're at is like next level, man. I can't even understand how you got to that point. You're like Will Smith's love child or something, man. It's like you've been learning from him. Is he your mentor on the sidelines there that we don't know about? You're like,
well, about whether or not he's my mentor,
I
haven't slapped anyone on stage yet, so
you're like one of the Smith kids, man. When you talk, it's so wonderful.
Thank you.
But
Thank you. I just want to say also, these moments can exist because there are such creatives and entrepreneurs and business owners, such as yourself, such that like you have walked the conscious journey of creating yourself out of whatever else that was told to you, and then you forged your own path. And these conversations can only exist because without saying, when we look into each other's eyes, we know what it takes to attain the version of yourself that you look at and you dream of. We know what it takes to attain that. And so we don't even need to talk about it. We just need to be in this space and understand that, like, hi, hello. I see you.
How are you doing this,
you.
man? How are you doing this? Stop seeing me now, because you're freaking me out. You're seeing too much of me. I'm shocked out of my mind right now. Dude,
thank you so much for shining a light on Blood Psalms. Thank you so much for seeing the art that we're trying to create, because we're not creating it for us. We're text to each other about our art. You know how it gets. Yes. We're creating it for the community that's consumers of the art, because the art calls for something in story that we know about ourselves that we can't explain yet. We're making it because there's someone who genuinely believes in the scale of filmmaking of the place they were born in and they find themselves in, and all they look around them and all they see is the greatness that they perceive in themselves. So I'm also grateful for you, Enrico, for the platform that you've built, for the millions of views that you've amassed, so that at this particular time you can bring attention to, an ambitious project such as Blood Psalms. And thank you for letting me crash your conversation with your friend to say, hey, let's do an interview for Blood Psalms. I love your work. I love your platform.
No, but those are the best kinds of meetings, when someone just comes out of the blue and you're like, wow, it's you. And I mean, before that, I had posted my excitement for Blood Psalms, so you knew that I was like super amped about this. But really, I'm so excited now after hearing all of this. You have me so pumped for this series, and the way that you talk about it is so impactful. And I'm really hoping that we can bring that forward and we can showcase that as soon as it comes out. So that's going to be really amazing. But let's finish up with the shout outs before this time cuts again.
Yes, please note, I need to literally, I have my pen because I need, I'm not as organic with shout outs. They usually take me like very bad with shout outs.
We'll do it this way, right? But then please also, now that you know what the script is going to be, like you said, do your reshoots on your camera so that it's dope and it's like first person, and then I can share that as just the sole video where I'm not in the picture, okay? Okay, so I'm going to end off the recording now, and then we'll jump into the shout outs, right? So the first one is, hi, my name is Bokang, I mean your full name, and you're listening to 8FM. That's the first.
Okay. Hey, this is you're listening to 8FM. That's easy.
Yeah. Then it's hi, this is Bokang. We're on Glitched. I think say it like that.
Are you on Twitch, by the way?
Yeah, I'm everywhere.
Are you saying you're never there? You live there?
No, I'm everywhere. But next year I'm gonna be full-time on it for Hogwarts.
Okay.
I'm so excited for
Okay.
Hogwarts.
Hi, this is Bokang. Should I say this is Bokang from Letsha? So hi, this is Bokang, and we're on Glitched. It's kind of something like that.
Actually, do two takes. Like be hi, this is Become from Blood Psalms. You're on 8 you're listening to 8 FM. Hi, this is Become, you're listening to 8 FM. So that we can play both
Okay.
during the day.
Okay.
And then the second one that you can do just one take. Hi, this is Become from Blood Psalms. We're on Glitched.
Okay, cool.
Okay. And then the last shout
Okay.
out will just be hi, this is Bokang, full name. My show, Blood Psalms, African Supernatural, what, is coming out on the 28th on Showmax. Please tune in with me. We're gonna be having a watch party, anything like that. I don't know how we're gonna work the watch party. I'm still trying to figure it out. I mean, I do Netflix watch parties, but it's very hard to do Showmax because it's not local.
Are you doing a watch party?
I want to do one, yeah. Where
Enrico,
I'm gonna be
thank you so
online and all.
much.
No, man, it's like nothing for me. Like my
Oh,
day job, man.
thank you. We appreciate that so much, man. Like, honestly, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
No, that's
I didn't
my
know.
whole
I thought
thing.
you were just gonna post.
No, that's my whole thing is to have watch parties, you know, and like get people to see the things we love and
Do
keep.
you do watch parties with comments? Do you do your reaction with the comments?
Yeah, so I do for Netflix now. I run the Netflix Watch Club and we run like for Brave Ones. We did that. We did it on Cena.com. And I was kind of hoping Cena would allow Showmax, but it's because it's Thank you so much for joining me today as we talk to Bokang, who's going to be on Blood Psalms, an awesome African supernatural folklore series that is coming to Showmax on the 28th. And just thank you for your listenership, but also at the same time, thank you for this amazing conversation. It was such a wonderful conversation, Bokang. Really, you are truly awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Enrico. Honestly, I'm overwhelmed because I'm always so touched when we can intersect at the places where art has brought us and allows us to explore more. So thank you for your platform and keep shining the light that you're shining on the kind of content that we're doing. We appreciate you.
Oh man, thank you so much. Thank you for listening to 8 FM with Enrico Alfonso. I've got the drip, drop, and cereal just for you. Yeah, on 8 FM. See you same time tomorrow via Condios. All right.
Hi everyone. My name is Bokang Phelane. I play Princess Zazi on Blossoms, only on Showmax on the 28th of September. Catch the watch party only on Glitched. Catch the watch party only on 8 FM. Catch the watch party with Enrico.